everyone, and thank you for watching Fayetteville Public Utilities Channel 6. I'm Sarah McYoung, and today we're on location with Miss Erin Reed at the Elora Gin and Warehouse, and we're getting excited because we're going to get to take a tour of the gin. And Erin, you're going to explain a lot to us about the gin, but tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do here at the gin.
Okay, like she said, my name is Erin Reed. My grandfather, Randall Owens, built this gin in 1972. Along with my mother and father, they ran the gin. When he passed away in 2007, we bought the gin from the estate. So myself, my brother David Brannon, my mother Christy Brannon, and my father Jimmy Brannon are all owners of the gin. So we have ran the gin since 2007. The original gin building is still here. Of course, we've added a lot of add-ons since the 70s. In 2004, we did a major update on the gin to make things faster. So, like I said, a lot of the sheds and stuff have been added on. Across the road, you'll see we have 3 cottonseed storage buildings. That's where we store all of our seed that we gin. Most of our seed here goes Kentucky North as dairy feed.
Okay.
So, as you can see, these pots suspended across the road here, the seed is actually blown from the gin into these houses. So we're about 3/4 of the way done ginning this time, so our houses are pretty full. Also, you'll see across the road is what we call modules. Before the cotton is gin, that's what we call a module. A lot of people call those bales. The bales is what comes out of the gin when the lint is completely clean. So you'll see we have 2 different kinds of modules here. We have the conventional module, and we also have the round modules, the rolls that come from the new John Deere picker. So when the farmers pick their cotton, they call and say, hey, we have 10 modules on this farm. We'll send our trucks out, our module trucks, there's one there. We'll send them out and they'll go pick up the cotton, bring it on the yard, and we'll log it in. Then we'll make a list and gin by farmer each day. So as today we're ginning on one farmer. You can see the cotton over here is fed into the gin. Okay, this is our module feeder. This is where the module is rolled on a roller bed into the gin. All this machine does is break up the cotton so we can get it through the gin. You can see the cotton at the very end being broken to pieces. And then the cotton is then blown into the gin to begin the ginning process. All right, this is the end of our feeder. This is actually, there's some rollers with spikes on it that is tearing the cotton apart, tearing it loose from the modules so it can be loose enough to go through the gin. After it's loosened up, the cotton is blown into the gin to begin the ginning process.
Erin, this cotton is straight from the field, and this is what you're talking about that we saw in a module. And this is going to be broken up, but talk a little bit about what all is in here.
Okay, when this comes straight from the field, of course, it's a raw product. There's 3 parts to this. There's the lint, which the farmer is concerned about. There's also the seed and, of course, the trash. When we get finished ginning, there's going to be 3 parts, and all 3 parts are used. The lint, of course, the farmer sells. The seed we sell to dairy, and then the trash, there's a trash pile out back. We actually use that as a fertilizer to spread on our fields. So there's no waste here. Once it gets in the gin, the first thing that has to be done is dried. We cannot gin wet cotton. We try to emphasize to our farmers to make sure to pick it wet, pick it dry, because wet cotton doesn't do well. The first process, it's going to go through a propane dryer in the gin, and it's going to dry it. Then it's going to remove the bigger particles, the sticks and stuff. Then it's going to go through a lint cleaner to clean the finer particles, and then it's going to go through the gin. The only thing that the gin does is separate the seed from the lint. Once everything is separated, we'll press it into a bale, and it'll come out and it'll go to the warehouses.
Something that's interesting to me, though, is look how tightly compacted this is. How did it get like that, Erin?
This is a conventional module. Of course, they use what we call a module builder. It's got a tramper in it that tramps it down. A normal conventional module will have 15 to 18 bales of lint that comes out. This is a smaller one. It's short. Someone was probably finishing up a farm with it. So there's probably going to be about 10 bales of lint in this. When I say a bale weighs on average 483 pounds. So there'll be 483 pounds of lint in this, 10 bales of 483 pounds in this module.
Now, you talked about this being a conventional bale, and we talked about some of the newer bales that are out there that almost look like a round bale of hay.
Right.
That's from a John Deere picker. Why would you want to do that instead of this, or is there a preference?
Everybody wants to go to the John Deere. There's two reasons. One, it does away with a lot of workers. You don't have a worker that's having to run the extra module builder or the mule boys that carry the cotton from the picker to the builder. Another reason is the roll is completely covered in plastic. There's no cotton exposed to the moisture. These modules, a lot of times if they sit in a lot of rain on the bottom, they'll be rotted. Of course, cotton and water don't do well together. The seed will sprout and the cotton will rot.
Right.
So with the round ones and the plastic, there's really no exposure to moisture.
Gotcha. I just wondered what the difference was and why folks at home might wonder, why do I see round bales in this one, but then I see square bales in another field?
The module builder was invented in the 80s. We went to a module feeder in 96 here, but before that, cotton came to us in a wagon. And then they had to use the suck pipes to suck it out, which was a long process, and it was a tedious process getting the cotton to the gin that way. So this way, this came out, this was the best invention, and then the John Deere come out with theirs, and it's even better. So
right. Well, let's keep moving down and showing folks more of the gin. Erin, we've made our way into the gin, and we're getting ready to go out on the floor and see a little bit more of the gin running. Tell folks at home a little bit about what they're going to see.
First, you're going to see a room out there. That's our control room. That's where everything is controlled. You're also going to see these three main machines right here. Those are our gins. Like I said before, the only thing those do is separate the seed from the lint. Also going to see right here the bale coming out of the basement. It's a pressed bale. It's what we call a UDC bale.
Okay. And when we say a pressed bale, we're going to see the end product.
Yes, the actual end product, which will go to our warehouse, and it will then, from our warehouse, go overseas.
All right. Well, let's head on in and take a look.
The seed from this machine goes across the road. All of our seed goes Kentucky North for dairy feed. You'll see there's a number on this gin. It's a 158. What that means is there's 158 ribs. They're metal pieces. They're shaped kind of like a human rib. In between those ribs is a saw. The saw will spin in between those ribs, and it will separate the lint from the seed. Okay, after we're finished processing the cotton, after the lint is clean and the seed are separated, it goes to our condenser. What our condenser does is puts a little bit more moisture back in the bale so we can compact it into a 500-pound bale. What you're seeing here is the bale actually coming up from the press. You're going to see this yellow machine go down and strap it. These bales are UDC bales. They have to be a certain size. We have to be able to get 88 to 90 on a van trailer for export. You can see it's going to strap it. The bale is then going to fall on the cart. You're also going to see this guy take a sample from both sides of the bale. Every bale has a sample, and the sample is sent to Memphis, to the classing office. That way the government can tell the farmer how much that bale is worth. They give it a grade. So he's going to actually take that out, put it over here, put a tag in it, and put it in the bag. Our bales have to be UDC bales. They're under a regulation that way, because most of our cotton here is export. So we have to be able to put so many bales on a export trailer or a van trailer. So our bales have to average no less than 350 pounds, no more than 700 pounds. The farmer gets dock charges if the bales are lower than that or the bales are higher than that. Our bales average 483 pounds a bale. So once it's compacted in the floor, then it comes up. The cotton is then strapped. Of course, the straps will keep the cotton compressed together. It'll fall on the cart, come over here. The guys will take a sample of cotton from both sides of the bale. The bale will then be put in a bag, and a tag, which is a USDA tag, will be stuck on the bale. They'll keep a record of it here. We will electronically file those bales, and that bale number will stay with the bale until it gets to its final destination.
Erin, we're back in the office, and there's a whole nother view in here of what we saw outside. So talk a little bit about what all's going on in here.
Okay, this is the way of us keeping up with the bales. Like I said, every bale has a USDA number. What she's doing here is when the bale is put in the plastic, she will weigh the bale, she'll stamp the weight on the bale, she'll then write the weight down on the ticket, she'll put it through here, and she will give it to our guys out there. Then they will tag the bale. At the end of the day, we will come up here and we'll get these tickets from her, and we'll post them into our computer, and we'll send them to the USDA. That way they know what farmer has what bale and where those bales are located in our warehouses.
All right. And something else you were talking about is that the USDA would come and pick up those bales as well from here, and they're going to grade them. But how many different grades of cotton are there, and why is that important? There
are several different grades. There's several things that they go by. They go by the color of the cotton, mainly because cotton, if it's discolored when it's grown and ginned, it can never be changed. They use low-grade colored cotton for things like blue jeans. Higher grade cotton is for sheets, high-end sheets, high-end towels. Of course, they're white, and like I said, if cotton is discolored, it can never be dyed. They also go by the strength. That is how far they can actually pull the thread. They do things like how big of a diameter thread they can pull. Also trashed. If you have cotton that comes in here with a lot of fine particles and we can't get all the trash out, they get docked for that. So this year, we've had an excellent year on grades. We had an excellent growing season. An average bale goes into the USDA loan at 52 cents. Most of our bales this year are averaging at least 56 cents, so that's everybody's getting it up on their grades. Last year was a bad grade year, had a lot of rain on the end, a lot of the cotton rotted in the field, but this year we have had some excellent grades.
Erin, as we're standing out here watching the conveyor and watching that final product come down the conveyor belt, and it's going to go into a warehouse. You talked a little bit about that, but let's talk about, each one of these has a barcode on it. So what does that barcode tell folks? I mean, what does that mean?
Inside we saw the girl, she was sitting there, she was keeping up with a ticket. We keep up with that by farmer. The way we know how to change is they'll come over the intercom and they'll say last bale on that module. She's got a list there that shows what modules, what farmer they belong to, and they call it by the position that the cotton is in the feeder. So they will actually tell her when they're changing farmers or changing modules. But she's weighing the bale on that module, and she gives them this tag. So she's writing down what farmer that tag belongs to, the weight of it, and what farm it goes on. And then we'll take the tickets down to our office and we'll send all that in electronically. So when the USDA comes and scans that bale, they'll know when it's ginned, the weight of the bale, the producer, and the farm of each bale.
All right, and that means so even after it leaves here and it goes out to, where will most of this go?
Most of our cotton in the last 3 years has not gone to China. It has gone to Turkey and Indonesia.
Okay.
100% of our cotton for several years has been export. Of course, all the textile mills shut down in Alabama back in 2004, 2005. So ever since then, most of our cotton goes to Turkey or Indonesia. We have about 10% that actually goes to Mexico through Lubbock, around through Texas. So.
Okay. So once it leaves here, if it's still got that code on it, the USDA still knows where it came from, who grew it, and where it was ginned and everything.
Exactly, yes.
So that gives them a way to track and make sure and know where everything is.
Also, another thing, if a mill across the sea, like in Turkey and Indonesia, if they get a bale that's damaged, they can scan that bale and they come back to us as a warehouse to ask for why that bale was damaged. They'll want their money back. So they have a way of tracking to see where that actual bale came from.
Okay, that's awesome. And you talked about, you guys have to make sure that they're 483 pounds, and you have to fit 80 to 90 of them on a truck, and that's the weight. But if you don't fit that many on the truck, is there a penalty for that? Or?
There is a penalty if they, like I said, if a bale is under a certain weight or over a certain weight, the farmer gets penalized for that. But if you get a load of cotton that gets over to Savannah to the port, and it won't fit on the export vans, then they will call us and we'll get a fine for that.
Okay. So this is kind of neat to see. It's kind of neat to see how all this works. We talked a little bit about how all this came to be and that your grandfather started this, and you guys continue to keep it alive. How many folks work here?
Right now we have 41. We run 24 hours a day. We run 7 days a week, 12-hour shifts. We have shift change at 7 a.m., 7 p.m. We shut down from 30 minutes to an hour each shift change to kind of clean up and get as much lint out. That kind of prevents and helps our fire exposure.
All right, now when talking about that, what is there? You want the cotton to be dry when it comes through. So is there I guess a cause for that or alarm for that it can happen?
Well, even wet cotton can catch on fire. A lot of problems we have is if cotton is picked wet, it'll sit out in the module and it'll heat. So when it gets air to it, it'll actually flame. It's a lot like hay. It goes through a heat like hay does. Also, we have a lot of limestone here. So if a rock will go through the gin stand and that limestone hits that metal, it'll spark. We actually have fire savers on our gins that are supposed to shut it down. We've had a couple of big fires this year. Sometimes you can't prevent, when it gets in there, you can't get it out. When we do have a fire, everything has to be shut down and make sure it's gone, because the gin is blown by air, everything is run by air. So if you add air to a fire, it's just going to make it a lot worse.
Gotcha. Now you also talked about, there's seeds going over here. Do the seeds ever catch on fires? That's the thing for it as well.
In 2003, this seed house right here, it was a very wet year that year. There was some wet seed put on wet seed. In March, we noticed there was a little bit of smoke coming out. They took the side off and the whole building flamed, and we lost the whole building of seed. So yes, the seed will go through a heating process. We have dryers in there, and we also, when we're ginning, we try not to put everything in one house at a time. They try to layer it to give the seed time to dry before we put more seed on top of it.
Gotcha. Now, how long will it be before those houses are empty from where the feed manufacturers are coming to get it?
Right. We have actually had to sell quite a bit of seed because we're running out of room. We've sold about 2,000 tons, so we'd have enough room. But we try to keep plenty of seed for our local people that just get a few tons. So when we started ginning, we had just run out of seed from the last year.
Okay, wow. Well, Erin, we appreciate you and your family inviting us out to come take a tour of the Elora Gin. This is really interesting and very fascinating, and I know our folks at home, I'm sure, have enjoyed seeing this and seeing something new. What's something that you wish folks knew about the gin process and about the Elora Gin?
I just wish people knew what went into agriculture, what we all sacrifice to make sure that there is food and clothing on your table. We get a lot of bad publicity with the GMO stuff, and also with our equipment's on the road moving slow, everybody gets kind of aggravated, but people need to realize that that's our livelihood. We're just trying to go to work. My guys here, I have really good crews here. They work hard. That's like my father. He's here 24 hours a day. He gets what sleep he can upstairs. So there's a lot of hard work put into it, and it's only a few months out of the year, but it puts a strain on everybody. We lose a lot of things with our families. There's a lot of things that we don't get to see because we're here, different, especially our guys. I mean, they're working 84 hours a week. So, but I'm really thankful for all of our farmers and our employees. We couldn't do it without them.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Erin, for what you do, and thank you for inviting us out to come and see the Elora Gin and Warehouse. And we appreciate you, our viewers, for watching on FPU's Channel 6, and we'll see you back in here next time.